point, she laughed the first maybe 1 or 2 times, but by the 4th time, I remember she smacked me in the head and she was like, "Stop being rude, Jason." And I was like, "I'm sorry." I really did. I remember really just being like, "Oh my gosh, I just upset her." But also later on, it was really nice at that point. I had been drinking a bunch, and she had pulled me aside out in front of my trailer and talked to me for like 30 minutes, telling me like, that about drinking and how it's just some really nice things. And I don't know, it was really sweet because again, I didn't know her well, but she still gave me a nice talking to. And again, to hear it from someone that you respect and it was really sweet. So those 2 things always stand out to me with her. And over the years, I've seen her and talked to her and had some cool interactions with her. But definitely when we shot that movie, those 2 things really stand out, as me being super obnoxious and her not taking any shit from me, and then her talking to me, and it was really sweet being like, so it was the first, because I'd hear it from like Kevin and my family and stuff, but hearing it from her sort of, made me think about it. Not to say that got me sober right away, but it took a few more years for that. But yeah, it was really sweet. Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's been amazing and super surreal over the years. All the people I've gotten to work with, I mean, her and like I said, Mark Hamill, George Carlin, Chris, everyone we've gotten to work with, it's just been awesome because I didn't plan on acting. When we shot Clerks, I went back to my day job, which was roofing, and I had no idea, like, hey, 20-something years later, or even 10 years later, I'm going to be working with Alan Rickman and Chris Rock. I got to meet Stan Lee and Mallrats for the first time, which, that's how Kevin and I became friends. Even though, again, we knew each other because we went to the same high school, but he was a lot older, so we didn't want to hang out with some young kid. But the reason I started to hang out with him is, one, I started being really aggressive and forcing myself on him. And if you guys watch Comic Book Men, Walter and Brian and Kevin used to all hang out, and they worked at this community center in our town, where like after school I'd walk down the hill and go to the community center, and there was pool and foosball and the volleyball, and just all the kids would hang out, and those 3, Kevin, Walter, and Brian, worked there, and they would sit in the corner and talk about comic books, and they would read comic books and like come in and like trade comics to each other, and I started like harassing them, being like, "Yo, can we get a comic book? Can I have one of those?" And so that's how we sort of bonded, was over comic books. So years later when we got to meet Stan Lee, it was such a big deal and amazing and surreal. So again, it's been really awesome and really cool, the people I've gotten to work with and got to meet over the years. So, and even now, like to this day, it's crazy because again, I'm huge. Just now I was telling so my wife and I, like, there's the shows I watch, which is tons of different shows, and then there's shows my wife and I only watch because she doesn't like all the stuff I watch. But one of the shows she got me to watch recently, she's like, they just came out with a 10-year anniversary or whatever, Gilmore Girls. So we sat down, I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch Gilmore Girls, but we watched the new series on Netflix, the original, whatever. And so then I was like, oh my God, we got to go back and watch the original one. So we went back and we've been watching Gilmore Girls, and Kirk's here, Sean Gunn. And so I was like, saw him, I was like, Kirk! So I'm just saying, it's awesome and surreal to this day, like years later, that I get to come to these conventions and get to meet, people like that and stuff. And it was awesome. Like it's been sort of a theme. Peter's wife, Chewie, wife is so sweet and nice. And every time I see them at a convention, she takes a new picture of the 2 of us. I just tweeted one. And so again, it's just surreal to me that like, wow, I'm hanging out and getting to take photos and chatting with Chewbacca, like from Star Wars. So again, it's really been amazing, and I feel blessed and lucky and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's open it up to you guys. Let's just get it right out there. Does anyone have
no questions from anyone else?
I've got more questions if you guys are too shy yet.
No questions from y'all. All right, do it. My favorite would be Mallrats. From Kevin's movies, I would say Mallrats because Clerks was the first movie, but it really, like, when Kevin said we were going to shoot Clerks again, I was like 17, and I used to actually help him at that convenience store. Kevin really worked at Quick Stop, and Brian Johnson worked at RST Video, and I used to come in on Sundays, New Jersey. I don't know if it's just in our area or whatever, there's a paper called Asbury Park Press, which on Sunday mornings at like 5:30, you gotta get them ready. It's like this huge paper, but it comes in different sections, like sports section and, you know, whatever, the ad section, all this, and you gotta put it in together. And so Kevin would ask me to come at like 5:30, 6 in the morning to help him put all these papers together, get them ready, and put them on the shelf for when the store opened, people could come get their Sunday morning paper. And I was the only fool that would get up at 5:30 in the morning, and Kevin would pay me like $10 and like free food at the convenience store, where we'd sit and watch we'd watch Silver Spoons and we'd watch Degrassi High. But anyway, so Kevin worked there, and then he was like, hey, I wrote a script and it's called Clerks and we're gonna shoot this movie, but it wasn't like now where I feel like if someone here was like, hey, we're gonna make a movie, like with the technology and all that, like I feel like I believe that they're really going to try to make a feature movie and all that, where then it was just like, oh, okay, you're going to borrow your mom or aunt's or grandmother's VHS shoulder camera and we're going to shoot a movie real quick and that sounds fun. And then he gave me the script. So my point is Clerks was fun and it was our first movie, but to me it was like, wow, we're just making a movie for our friends and family, we'll get to watch it. I didn't know that there was a process where, oh, we're going to go to Sundance Film Festival and maybe, you know, Warner's or Miramax, which Miramax bought it, and it's going to be on the big screen, and then, oh wow, I got a 3-picture deal, and he did Mallrats. So Mallrats to me is my first movie really, because that's when it like hit me and was like surreal, like, wow, we're making a studio movie and there's wardrobe and there's craft service over here and we're all staying in a hotel, and we were out in Minnesota, which I had never been out of New Jersey, except I had taken the train like a couple times up to New York, but I'd never been out of New Jersey or up to New York at that point. And so like now I'm in a whole different state, and staying in a hotel for 2 months, and it just was like, it really was like, I had such a blast because Jason Lee was so much fun, and again, that's where I met Stan and just got to meet all this Shannon Doherty, which at that point, again, I had been watching 90210 and I was a fan of the show, and I just actually rewatching that now on Hulu, which is so crazy because watching it now, like I just watched an episode where Dean Cain's on it and he's so young and like sexy and stuff. And it's just like, oh my god, like the people
now he's just old and sexy.
Now he's old and sexy. It's just interesting to see the people that were in that. But anyway, so Mallrats is definitely my favorite movie that I've made over the years, just because that whole 2 months was like, and yeah, it was just so, it was such a fun, we had such a good time. Like we'd go to that mall and shoot in the evening when it was like closed down up to the early morning, and we would run around and stuff. It was a blast. So, and at the end we got to hang out with the monkey. I got to have a grappling hook, and you know, just the whole situation was such a new fun experience for me. So. Mallrats for sure. And then since then, if you put Kevin's movies and Mallrats, because of that being my first movie, I don't know, I had a really good time on all Kevin's movies, but separate from Kevin's movies, I don't know, I had a lot of fun. I did a movie called Zombie Hamlet, which it was fun. It was I played an actor playing Hamlet, and then we run out of money, so we had to do it zombies, and it's goofy. And what's her name from Cheers is in it? Sally. What's her name from Cheers? Shelley Long. Sorry, thank you. Shelley Long, John Amos from Peace Beastmaster, and from hey, JJ Walker. He was the dad.
Oh, Good Times.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Good Times. You know John Amos, the
Yeah.
dad. Yeah, he was in it. Anyway, I had a blast on that movie. So, but Mallrats for sure is the numero uno favorite movie I ever did.
And now you're directing your own movie, right?
Yes, and now I'm directing my own movie, which I'm having a blast doing. We did 6 days in LA. It's called Madness in the Method. I leave January 10th to go to London, and we're shooting 3 weeks in London, and that's been a blast. I mean, it's been, it's something I've wanted to do for the past few years. I did like a short film. I directed a couple of music videos and a PSA, and I really dug it. And I was like, man, I want to do a full feature. And this guy I worked with in a movie that he directed and produced. He just flew me out to London, and I acted in it, but me and him were chatting about, he's like, hey man, what's some other stuff you want to do? And I was telling him, and he called me up a couple months later, and he's like, hey, here's an idea I have. And I'm like, that's a great idea, but how about this and this? And then we kept going back and forth, and we collaborated, and he wrote the script. And then like a couple months after that, he's like, hey bro, I got money together and we could shoot the movie. So I'm really stoked. And this ain't 100%, but literally about 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I might have gotten another movie that I'm gonna direct.
Awesome.
So in April, so I find out for sure in like a couple weeks, they're like just trying to get everything together. And again, anything can fall apart, so I don't want to say it's 100%, but yeah, it's something I've been wanting to do, and I'm really digging it so far. Again, I've only directed the 5 days, but again, I had a blast because Stan came in and did a cameo for me, which was
Yeah, it's
awesome.
got a crazy cast in it.
Yeah, Dean Kane's in it, Terry Hatcher, Judd Nelson,
Danny Trejo,
Casper Van Dien,
Kevin's in it.
What's his name? He was Magneto, and I'm sorry, not Magneto. Sorry, Juggernaut in the X-Men movie.
Oh, Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones,
Yeah.
Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah, we got some other people that we're waiting to hear back that might come in and be part of it. Do a day here, a day there. So it's been fun. Yeah, we've gotten some really cool people to jump on board. Brian O'Halloran's going to be in it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we got some fun people. I'm really stoked.
Cool. That's awesome. Let's next question.
What's up, bro?
George Carlin,
Yes.
the Dogma movie. Tell us about that.
Again, you know what? I wish I had some great. Kevin has amazing stories about George. I mean, to be honest, for me, I got to interact. I was really nervous around George, so I didn't really get to spend a whole lot of. Hey, don't leave, guys. It's gonna get fun. I swear.
Oh, she's a volunteer. She's retired.
George is George. I mainly just those few scenes I got to work with him. I got to hang out with him. Very smart dude. He was like really smart and really quick and funny. And him and Kevin would talk for hours about stuff. And I just sort of felt, again, I feel like I was. For one, I was a mess. During Dogma, it was the one movie that we've done. Like all the other movies, Kevin would make me get sober, not make me, but he'd be like, look, if you're not sober, they're not going to insure you, and you're not going to be able to do so. Not including Clerks, Mallrats. It was Chasing Amy's when I started dabbling in the hard drugs, but I only had the one scene, so I was able to come that one day and get through the day. Dogma was a mess, and they made me take urine tests. But after we started shooting the movie, they stopped. And at that point, I met this girl out in Pittsburgh, and we started dating, and she happened to be like, hey man, you ever try some cocaine? And I'm like, no, I never have, even though I had been like strung out on it. And then she's like, do you know what Oxycontins are? I'm like, no, what are those? The point is, she had drugs, and then I started doing drugs, and Dogma's the one movie where I wind up using like the whole time, like it was, I was a mess. Point is again, there wasn't a whole lot of interaction because I just felt nervous. One, I was getting high, and I sort of stayed away from people, everyone, but him more, even him more so, because again, he was really, really funny, nice, but he was super smart. And him and Kevin would like talk about stuff that I just was lost, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Wait, what's that word? And so I didn't really get to hang out too much. But again, when I was doing my scenes with him and interacted, very nice guy. And I remember running into him, which I didn't think he'd remember me, because I'm like, and I ran into him in New York in a hotel. And I remember he was like, Jason. I was like, oh, hey. And I didn't know what to say. And I was like, you're the best. It's good to see you, bro. But yeah, but again, Kevin has great stories about him, because again, they spent, of course, that whole time too on Jersey Girl. But very nice guy. See, him and Rickman too. Rickman was I was super nervous around him, especially Kevin made me super nervous, because he's like, dude, he's a British actor, bro. They created and invented acting. So you can't be snoochy boochies and messing up and stuff. So I winded up like memorizing that whole script, because I was so nervous about, looking bad or upsetting Alan Rickman, which again, he wasn't at all. He was so sweet and nice, again, everyone I've got to work with over the years, I've been lucky to where either I don't interact with them too much, because some people too will come out, they do their scenes, and then they'll go in their trailer, and you don't see them until they're doing their scenes. So even if you try to interact, maybe it's just me, but there's just a few people like, what's her name from Zack and Miri?
Elizabeth Banks.
Elizabeth Banks?
Yes, thank you. She, I didn't really get to talk or get to know her at all, because she'd come out, do her stuff, and go in her trailer, come out. So there's that, which isn't a bad thing. I'm just saying, there's people like that, but everyone else that I have got to hang out with and chat with and be obnoxious with, I've been lucky where everyone's been super cool that I've got to, Chris Rock is amazing. He's so funny. And so yeah, it's been awesome. But yeah, I wish I had some good stories to tell you about Carlin. But again, my stories are mainly that I'd come up and be like, what are they talking about? These guys are smart. Anyway. Hi.
Hi. So you talked about your struggle with addiction.
Yes.
I worked for a teenage addiction clinic, and you've actually come up in stories of how you were able to overcome. And how does it feel to know that you're actually used as a positive role model in recovery, and the fact that you can go on to live a better life?
It's been awesome, because again, I said earlier, Kevin and I do a podcast, Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, and again, when we started that, it's just because Kevin had been doing 3 other podcasts with people, and I would go watch him do the podcast, and he opened up. It's gone now, but there was a place called Smod Castle. It was like a 50-seat black box theater, and Kevin was doing Hollywood Babylon, and he was doing a couple other podcasts, and it was right when I got sober. I had about 6 months sober, 5 months sober, and Kevin and I hadn't been talking because I was a mess. And then he's like, look, his daughter was getting older, and so we were talking, and it's not like we stopped talking completely, but I just wasn't getting to hang out with him as much. And so when I got sober, all I wanted to do was hang with Kevin and sort of mend that relationship. So I would go to the to the Smod Castle all the time and watch the podcast. I'm like, dude, I really want to do a podcast, and it looks fun, and I want to do something. He's like, well, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, I don't know, I have no idea. Which I didn't have any ideas of what it would be about. But he's like, well, listen, why do you think after 4 years? Because at that point, when I had about 4.5 years when I relapsed, and it's because I got kidney stones, and they gave me the shot of Demerol, and painkillers. And I was like, I have almost 5 years, I'm fine, I can handle it. And I couldn't, my prescription was done, and then I was like, doc, I'm still in pain, I just need 1 more. And then it became 2 more, and then he told me I'm cut off, and then I started getting them from other people, and I hit it for a while, and then 5 years came up, and even where I celebrated my 5 years sober with Kevin, and he was really bummed later when he found out that at that point I wasn't sober. Anyway, point is, he was like, why do you think? And I said, look, I just think at that point when I got the pain medicine, people that are sober can get pain medicine sometimes and handle it, but it's when you got to talk to your sponsor and people that are sober and be accountable to people and stuff. And I wasn't. I just sort of was living by I just met my wife now we're married, but then we just started dating. And then, you know, when sometimes you meet someone, you're just hanging with them and no one else, you know. So me and her were hanging every day in our new apartment, and she didn't really understand the whole thing. And point is, I wasn't accountable to anyone. I stopped going to meetings, and I was explaining all this to Kevin, and he was like, well, listen, why don't we do a podcast where you talk about it every week, and we say how many days you have, and we keep track, and you're accountable to everyone who's comes and watched the podcast and listens. And so when it started, it was really just about that. It was about me being accountable, and it was for myself. And getting to what I'm trying to get to is, it's awesome because I didn't know that later on, you know, people were coming up and being like, hey man, I was going back and forth, relapsing, and then I had went to rehab. I got out and I started listening to podcasts. And whenever each day, if I had a hard day, I'd listen to it. It would get me through one more day. Now I have a year sober or whatever. So I had no idea that my podcast that was for me was going to help people. So it's been awesome. Again, I guess my whole point is I didn't expect that my podcast or what happened to me would be helpful for other people, and that's been really amazing. And one of the other reasons I love coming to these conventions because I'm at my table and I get to interact with people. At least one convention, each convention I go to, at least one person at each convention has come up and been like, hey, my brother, my sister, hey, here's my husband who's been, and again, that's been amazing because again, I didn't expect it, and it's awesome that if I can talk about my stuff and it helps people, it's just, yeah, it's flattering and it's just sweet. And I love sucking penis so hard. It's like 12 inches long, and it farts, and it sounds like a boom, boom, boom. Sorry, thank you.
After that, she just literally had to invent new insights for it.
Sorry.